Divine exhibition.
Right.
Can we do that one more time?
All right.
Because divine retribution is God getting me back.
Right.
But divine exhibition means that God is setting this thing up just right for him to work a miracle. And it could be the reason why you're snake bitten today is not because you've done something wrong. It could be that God is setting you up. I wish I had helped you there. Setting you up for a miracle. God is trying to get his will accomplished in your life. God is trying to get his program accomplished in your life. God never promised everything would be easy. In fact, nobody told me that the road would be easy. But I just believe. I wish I had help you there. I believe he brought me this far. Look at him in Acts chapter 9. He's going through hell from Acts chapter 9 to now Acts chapter 28. But I don't believe God has brought me this far to turn around and leave. And so what was Paul's response to their criticism? The text says in verse 5, all he did was just shake off. Don't miss that. He just shook it off. He heard the criticism, but he shook it off. Whatever they say about you, shake it off. I don't care, it may be true or not. You got to keep moving. You got to continue on. Why? Because that's how winning is done. You got to shake it off. But can I give you one last thing? And I'll take my seat. Not only should you shake off crisis, shake off criticism, but you need to learn how to shake off cynicism. Listen to this. Listen to this. In their opinion, verse 5, Paul will swell up and die. Luke, being a physician himself, uses medical terminology in a word for expected. The text says they expected him to die. This is a medical term used by doctors to say that when someone gets cancer and it's at its last stage, they know we're just waiting for you to die. It's the word for hospice. It is saying, though you haven't died yet, we know you're going to die. And so we're just waiting, expecting for you to die. But notice something happens here. Look at the cynicism. The cynicism is that they were saying to Paul, yes, you might have gotten out of a storm, but you won't get out of this. This is cynicism. Have you ever been a victim of someone's cynical words? Who said when you got married, that marriage will never last? When you went back to school, she'll drop out. Why you want to go to school anyway? Why you want to do that? You got so many, you don't need to go to school. Just take care of your babies and put them through school. Why would you join the church? It's not going to last. Because I remember how you bumped and grind at the club, and now you want to do it for Jesus. I just can't see this lasting. You know something about a cynic's word. And here Paul is facing the brunt of cynicism. But what does Paul do? What does Paul do to overcome and shake off cynicism? I'll tell you what he does. The first thing he does is that he served God persistently. If you want to shake off cynicism, are you with me here today? Shake off cynicism by serving God persistently. Now, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, preacher? We find no record in this pericope of God saying anything. We find no record of Paul preaching one sermon. But what we do see in this text is Christianity in action. Now, how is serving God persistently in this passage? I'm glad you asked. Because if you look at this text with a critical eye, you'll see it. What does Paul do? All Paul does is he shakes off the Bible. And with sanctified imagination, I can see him picking up a piece of wood and poking at that fire, trying to make sure all 276 people remain warm. You don't see Paul saying anything in this passage, do you? All he's doing is demonstrating Christ's likeness in action. He's serving God persistently. Serving God isn't always praying. Serving God ain't always worshiping. But real service to God is exactly what it is, serving God. Because when you're serving others, you are telling others that you are serving God. Are you with me here today? You can allow the cynic's words to prevent you from serving God. Well, what would the Bible be if some of our famous characters had given in to cynicism? Where would we be tonight, be today rejoicing about David killing Goliath? If he'd have listened to his own brother saying, "You're just a young boy. How are you going to whoop a giant like Goliath?" And to make matters worse, Saul put his own armor on him, and David said, "Wait a minute, I can't wear this armor, it's too big.
That's right.
This armor's tailor-made for a man, and I'm just a teenager. I can't wear your armor. But what I'm going to do is use what God let me use, what I know how to use, and I'm going to be what God made me." Because before I was a warrior king, I was a shepherd boy in Bethlehem. And I remember that when I was pastoring my father's sheep, a lion showed up. And he tried to steal my daddy's sheep, but you know what I did? I ignored the cynic's growl and the roar of a lion, and I killed that lion. I continued on while the lion was trying to count me out. A bear showed up, and it stood on its hind legs, and I saw its awesome power, but I killed that bear because I used what I had, and I remained faithful to who I was. I remember a wolf showed up trying to kill my daddy's sheep. I didn't listen to the growl of that wolf. I just killed the wolf. I stayed in my own lane. And that ought to be a message to somebody today. Just stay in your lane and use what you got. David says, all I got is a slingshot. But you know what God can do with a person with a slingshot? I guess I'll preach to 3 or 4 of you today. Do you know what God can do with a person with a slingshot? If you just trust him and 12 the slingshot. Where would Jesus be if he listened to the jeering on the cross? Where they said, "If you are the Son of God, why don't you come down and save yourself?" But he stayed on that cross because salvation was on that cross. Salvation for you and salvation for me. And I'm so glad that he stayed on that cross. And because he stayed on that cross, he gave the best word that anybody could give at that moment. Tetelestai. Tetelestai. It is finished. Paid in full. I wish I had help in here. That means his blood paid the price for my sin. I'm glad Jesus didn't listen to a sinner's word. Somebody here today needs to just stand. I mean, serve God's purpose. But let me end this thing now. Somebody needs to stand on God's promise. C.H. Spurgeon, that great English preacher, said that God never gives his children a promise that he doesn't intend for them to use. Do you know how many promises are in the Bible? There are over 800 promises in the Bible. And God wouldn't give us 800 promises if he didn't plan for us to use all 800 of them. I wish I had help in here. Stand on God's promise. What did Paul do? How did he stand on God's promise? Remember the promise Jesus gave. I'm almost done. Jesus gave it in Mark chapter 16, and he gave it in Luke chapter 10 and 19. Where Jesus said in Mark 16 that you'll drink poison and won't die. You'll handle snakes and not be injured. He says in Luke 10, you'll deal with scorpions. You may be stung, but you won't die. You may be bitten by snakes and you won't be injured. And Paul remembered that promise Jesus made. And so when he got bit by the snake, he didn't have to say anything. All he did was stood on God's promise. And he shook that into the fire and kept on moving. That's what you want to do in here. When somebody say you can't, shake it off and keep on moving. Stand on the promise of God. But then wait a minute, because you're going to miss the beauty of the text. Because they were expecting him to do what? Die. But he didn't. They waited for him to die. But he didn't. He just kept on. But watch the transition of the text. Because in verse 4, when he got bit, they said he was what? are murdered.
Right.
But now, at the bottom of verse 6, listen to what they said. He's a God. Come here, you missed that. They said first he's a murderer, and now he's a God. What transpired? I'll tell you what happened. They wouldn't have that mind change until Paul shook it off. He stood on the promise. They said he's a God. But notice they were saying something more than that. Watch this. They were literally saying he's a favorite of the God. Now watch it, you missed that. They went from saying he's guilty to now he's a man of grace. They went from saying he's no good to now he's the apple of God's eye. God knows how to change folks' minds. You don't believe that? You don't believe that? You ask Abraham, does God knows how to change minds? Abraham was centenarian and Sarah was octogenarian. And God told them that they would have a child. And when Abraham went and told Sarah that she would be with child, she laughed. She said, wait a minute, Abraham, that ain't making sense. Because this stuff ain't working like it used to work. What you talking about, Abraham? And she laughed. And God said, wait a minute, I heard y'all laughing. When the baby is born, make sure you name the child Isaac. Because Isaac means laughter. Which says that God gets, yeah, you got it, the last laugh. You asked one who was captain of the Syrian army. I feel my help coming now. Y'all, stay with me now. Can I call the roll for a moment? You asked Naaman about that. Naaman had contracted an incurable disease, leprosy. And he had heard that there was a miracle worker over there in Samaria by the name of Elisha. So he traveled with $750,000 worth of gold and silver. And he traveled with another $100,000 worth of clothes. And he showed up at the tent of the prophet. And Elijah didn't even come out to greet him. He sent his young attendant out there. And Gehazi said, this is what the prophet said, go wash. I wish I had help in the Jordan River. And here's a problem with that. And this is why Naaman objected. He said, are not the rivers of Abana and Pharpar better than the rivers of Jordan? The river Jordan? Because understand they were better, but not to God. Jordan River was dirty. It wasn't pristine. It was muddy. You could see feces. You could smell urine in the Jordan River. But if that's where your healing is going to be, you have to step in muddy water. But when we got in muddy water, the Bible says, he said, dip 7 times. And when he dipped 7 times, his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child. And when he got up, you know what he left saying? There's not a God except the one in Israel. God knows how to change folks' minds. But I'm just about through with this thing. Fast forward another 1,500 years. And let's go to the old rugged cross. Jesus is suspended between earth and heaven, stapled on the old rugged cross. While he hears the sound of jeering, there's one person that said, should. Y'all got to excuse me, my soul is happy. Surely, this was the Son of God. God knows how to change folks' minds. And if you learn how to shake stuff off in your life and continue on when people count you out, God knows how to turn a miracle out of some mess. Did you hear what I said? I lived my whole ministry based on a miracle. I don't know how God blesses me so much, but he does. God knows how to make a miracle out of your mess. I wish I had help in here today. Have you ever heard, I'm through now, have you ever heard of Mr. Weevil Wobble? You ever heard of that? Mr. Weevil Wobble showed me something about shaking off cynicism. When I was a young child, you could kick Mr. Weevil, but he'd get right back up. You could punch him, but he'll get right back up. You could tackle him and hold him down, but when you let him go, he'll get right back up. But hold on, wait a minute. I had to do some people while we're able to get back up. I discovered the other day the reason why was because even though you didn't see it, there's a weight inside of him on his face. And it is not visible to the eye. And so you may hear him on top, but you can't keep him down because he's got something on the inside that's stronger than anything on there. And I hear Jesus saying, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And I want to tell somebody that God is able to allow you to get back up. Whatever it is, whatever holding you down, God is able to pick it back up because he's greater on the inside than anything on the outside. And all I'm trying to tell you is hold on to God's unchanging hand, because God will hold you when you're being tackled. Have I got a witness here? And I want to close here now, but I want to tell somebody, hang on in there. It may hurt for a while, but God will make everything all right. Have I got a witness here? I need it now, but I want to tell somebody, if you read Paul's life, you will discover that Paul has been on a journey. His journey started in Acts chapter 9. He's gone through hell and high water, but he still kept going because God wanted him to die in Rome. And if you look at Acts 28, Paul is on his way to Rome. But understand, y'all, until you get to where God wants you to be, nothing will hurt you. And I get a witness here. All I'm saying is your journey ain't over until it's over. And I got a witness here. I don't care what folks say about you. Your journey ain't over until God says it's over. And I got a witness. I don't care how the crisis come in your life. Your journey ain't over, y'all, until God says it's over. So I want to tell somebody, while you're going through, this is what you ought to do. You want to lift up your hands and praise him aloud. I got a witness here. I got to leave you now. I didn't mean to hold you so long, but I want to tell somebody, all you can do in shaking stuff off is trust God and hold onto his hand. And I got a witness here. If there's anybody in the room, don't say I'm going to trust in the Lord until I die. I'm going to stay on the battlefield until I die. I'm going to stay on my bending knee until I die. I'm going to keep my head high while I'm on the battlefield. Is there anybody in the house that say, I will trust in the Lord